Coming up on the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast, will the entire NCAA men's tournament come to Indianapolis? New jobs are coming to an area that really needs them. A landmark dating back to before the Civil War gets a new chance at life. What kind of energy will power Indiana's economic future? Kroger steps up COVID testing efforts. Huntington University looks to the future of animal science. And the $300 million facelift for Bankers Life Fieldhouse continues. Welcome to the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. I'm Andy Ober. Indiana may once again be part of basketball history if the NCAA has its way. The men's Final Four was already set to be in Indy in 2021, and now there are talks about having the entire tournament played in the city due to health concerns surrounding COVID. Inside Indiana sports contributor Bill Benner talked about the possibility with Inside Indiana business host Gary Dick.
Really big news from the NCAA. It's been talked about for a long time, I think, behind the scenes. Not a done deal yet, but your reaction to what this could mean?
Well, it kind of goes back to the three C's that we've always talked about with Indianapolis: convenience, compact, connected. And in this particular case, it turns a very difficult situation into a positive for Indianapolis and the hospitality industry. Nationwide exposure over the course of 3 weeks, and the national focus on with March Madness all squarely on Indianapolis. It's couldn't come, again, we wish it hadn't happened like this, but it really couldn't come at a more opportune time for our struggling hospitality industry.
You mentioned the attention on Indianapolis for a 3-week period. Hard to calculate the impact of that visibility. But for the entertainment industry downtown, the hospitality industry, which has been decimated by the pandemic, this potentially is some good news to help that very important industry.
Well, you talk about vaccines for the COVID. This is a booster shot for the hospitality industry. And again, we don't know whether fans of any number will be able to attend. We don't know precisely which venues will be used, other than obviously Lucas Oil Stadium for the Final Four. But you could certainly see a boost from all the other people who have to be here, whether it's television production crews, media, game support personnel, that would certainly help fill downtown Indianapolis hotel rooms and restaurants, and again, at a much, much needed time.
All right, let's talk strategy. We don't know a lot yet. Again, the deal is not yet fully done. But in terms of where these games would be, there's been a lot of talk about, hey, how about the big high school gyms? But that's not feasible, is it?
Well, I don't think so. They're 84 feet. The college game is at 94 feet. And so I think that would probably automatically eliminate any high school venues unless they could accommodate a college-sized court. But certainly the convention center and its conventions hall, I think they could have 6 or 8 courts inside there. There could be a couple of courts at Lucas Oil Stadium. Certainly you bring Hinkle Fieldhouse and Bankers Life Fieldhouse into play as well. And so I think certainly, and from a practice standpoint, yes, the high schools might be used. But this is what Indianapolis was built for. And again, unwittingly built for this kind of opportunity when you have to have the entire NCAA March Madness all in one place.
And really, this is a byproduct, as you kind of touched on before, of Indianapolis as a sports capital. The way it was built physically, everything compact, connected downtown. Plus the city's reputation and what it has done time and time again in terms of hosting the biggest sporting events out there.
Well, it goes unquestioned. Every time Indianapolis has had either a Final Four or a Super Bowl, a national championship, a World Gymnastics, you name it, they've raised the bar. I know from sitting in on conference calls with the local organizing committee, even as we discussed contingency plans, there has been an imperative among that group that this time, because of the cancellation of last year's tournament, that Indianapolis would not only rejuvenate, but they would, again, take it to another level. And again, our relationship with the NCAA and the investment in the NCAA headquarters to bring it here, the long-term relationship, the agreement to bring Final Fours and NCAA championships here on a regular basis, this is also intertwined. The NCAA is Indy. Indy is the NCAA, Gary.
Yeah, as we wrap up, Bill, the NCAA, I think, expects to announce a hopefully a finalized deal sometime in December. There's a lot to do between now and then when you look at all the moving parts, the hotels that would be involved, the events that would have to be moved around, the medical procedures and contingencies that would be in place. So very intricate process trying to get this deal done.
Well, and again, the presence of our medical community is another huge, significant advantage for Indianapolis. Yeah, there are so many moving parts, but I can tell you once again, when it comes to volunteers and people, that will be the least of the NCAA's problems, and there'll be great cooperation. It won't have to be, we'll do Zoom calls, I'm sure, but there could be a lot of face-to-face interaction as March approaches.
All right, Bill Benner, as always, some great perspective. Bill, thanks for joining us. We'll see you a little bit later in the show.
Thank you, Gary. I appreciate it.
New job opportunities and economic hope are coming to an Eastside Indianapolis community with some of the highest levels of unemployment and poverty in the state. Bloomington-based Cook Medical Group, Goodwill Industries, and other Indiana nonprofits are banding together to build a $7 million manufacturing facility in the Devonshire neighborhood. Cook Medical and Cook Group President Pete Yonkman joined us with details.
This is, I think, a really interesting and cool story. Let's talk about it now. This is a partnership that Cook, that you have formed with Goodwill, some other nonprofits involved. But essentially, you're creating a manufacturing facility that will employ 100 people in the Devonshire neighborhood, which is about 38th and Sheridan, near northeast side, if you will, of Indianapolis. How did this all start? How did it come about?
Yeah, Gary, there's been a lot of talk this year about equity and the challenges there. And you know us well enough to know that we're not the company that maybe communicates the most, but we're very action-oriented. So we had an opportunity for expansion, and given our long history of trying to help communities develop and be a partner with communities, in French Lick, Indiana, West Baden, Bloomington, Canton, Illinois, we said, could we take this new opportunity that we have, be more intentional, and try to impact a black community in our state? And so we went out, we reached out to our partners, we reached out to Goodwill, and they offered to manage the facility for us, to offer their employees wraparound services for those who need them, like transportation support, wraparound services like education and mental health services. We talked to the Indianapolis Foundation, and they agreed to invest in the project so that the community would have equity and ownership, and we return proceeds back to the community. And then we reached out to the community itself, and we reached out to Ashley Gervitz at Unique, and she really taught us that it was important that we build with the community and not on the community.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, because you will be building an FDA-approved manufacturing facility. These employees, which will be managed, as I understand it, by Goodwill, they're going to get trained, good-paying jobs, and access to education as well.
Yeah, one of the core beliefs that we have at Cook is that for people to be successful and have upward mobility, it's really important that they have access to a good job with upward mobility, but also access to education. So all the employees there will get the wraparound services from Goodwill, but they'll also have access to a free education from a high school diploma all the way up to a master's degree.
Yeah. Talk about, Pete, this as potentially a model that others could replicate, because it would seem to me that there's real potential for that.
When we went into this, we sat down together and we said, we want to have a program that can be modeled by other people, because we really do believe that Indiana and its manufacturing strength has the opportunity to bring jobs and opportunity back to the state, back to our residents here in Indiana. So we want to create a model that was a win-win for everybody, including the community. And if you look at this, Gary, it's not philanthropy. This is not a philanthropic project. This is a way to do good business and also do good in the community at the same time. So I hope that people will look at this. I hope they'll consider bringing jobs and opportunity back to our neighbors. There's a lot of people out there who need this help. And I think we have an opportunity here to really try to work to rebuild the middle class.
All right, demolition to begin very soon. Hopefully be online in a year or so, but hiring's going to begin, I know, essentially immediately. Pete Yonkman from Cook Group, business decision with potentially huge ramifications for our neighborhood here in Indianapolis. Pete, thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Gary.
All right.
The tiny town of Brookville in southeastern Indiana is home to the Valley House, an architectural gem built 9 years before the Civil War. What was once Indiana's longest-running hotel recently underwent a $12 million restoration. Around Indiana reporter Mary Rachel Redman has the story.
Dating back to the early 19th century, this tiny southeast Indiana town was once the epicenter of Indiana land grants and political power. Brookville touts 4 Indiana governors, 3 of which served consecutive terms from 1825 to 1840. But that all changed.
So it was really a very vital portion of the government for the state. And then when I-74 came into play, the center refocused and took it away from Brookville.
It was a dying community, and there was nobody to stay here.
However, Brookville is experiencing what one might describe as a rebirth in the form of U.S. Opportunity Zones created by the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed by Congress in 2017.
An Opportunity Zone is designed to enrich, to help revitalize a town. It's hard to get investors to come into a small town and say, yeah, let's put in $11 million for this great project.
But that's exactly what happened. Enter Mick Wills and his wife, Jenny.
This is our hometown. This is where we raised our kids.
After recently selling his Cincinnati-based business, Mick was looking to reinvest.
Our accountants said, do you know about opportunity zones? We didn't know what was going on, but quickly they found out that, hey, your hometown is an opportunity zone area. And this was a shovel-ready project, and we hopped on board here.
That shovel-ready project was the historic Valley House Hotel, built all the way back in 1852 and once the longest-running hotel in Indiana until it was abandoned in the early 70s.
You can see the floor. It's worn. Mm-hmm. There was glue and molding and broken pieces. So what we had to do was we had to refinish the floor. We had to find the pieces that we could maintain.
And piece by piece, this pre-Civil War hotel underwent an $11 million restoration that officially reopened in October as a senior living community.
The floors, the windows, as much as that could be saved has been saved. But if you walk through this building, the staircase is the same. It's the heart of our community. It's directly across from the courthouse, and every photo of the courthouse over the last 150 years was taken from one of the windows here. This town would be lost without it.
Never in a million years did I think that we'd have a group of investors come in a matter of months. So this has all been very exciting, and it's put everything on overdrive. You know, the speed at which some of these development deals is happening. What would normally take years to come together is happening in months. To get this across the finish line, this is part of the legacy of the folks that live here and are investing here, and we hope that it's catalytic enough to encourage other investments.
So, opened in 1852 and now open again in 2020?
2020. And what I love is our ability to bring it back to what it was, but to make it better.
These opportunity zones, we could have held on to some of the money, gave it to our children and invested it in the future. The opportunity zone, we're living our legacy. We're able to see it.
Mary Rachel Redman, Inside Indiana Business.
As one of the leading manufacturing states in the country, Indiana needs to have an affordable and reliable energy plan to remain competitive. To that end, the Indiana Chamber of Commerce commissioned a study called Powering Indiana's Economic Future in hopes of taking a deep dive into the state's past, present, and future energy issues. Chamber President Kevin Breniger joined us with more.
One of the things that strikes me is Indiana has really not had a comprehensive energy plan since 2006.
That's correct, and the Chamber is calling for the development of a state-level energy plan, and we believe that this comprehensive study that's been put together by London Economics, an internationally known expert in energy and infrastructure, can serve as the basis for the development of a new Indiana energy plan.
And obviously, energy is so important, especially in a manufacturing state like Indiana. And so much has changed over the last 10 to 15 years, especially when it comes to things like coal.
Yes, it is critical that we pay close attention to our energy needs, our cost, our reliability, being the most manufacturing intensive state in the country. And we believe that our new study says it all, powering Indiana's economic future. And our reliance on coal just in the last 10 years has gone from 90% for powering electricity, which is one of the highest in the country, down to 59%. Big change, although we're still 21% higher than the national average. And the study outlines 5 sort of alternative paths that Indiana can go down, and outlines the advantages and disadvantages of those. Everything from sort of stay the current course to total deregulation to distributed energy and other things. And we think ultimately probably will combine some of those paths together to develop a thoughtful, strategic energy plan for Indiana.
Yeah, when you look at that, those 5 potential paths, what are you going to be doing with these recommendations? I assume legislators and others will be brought in to take a look.
Absolutely. We've already shared the plan this morning with the Legislative Energy Task Force, share it with the governor's office and the administration. And we're going to use this plan as sort of our guiding star for our public policy advocacy with respect to energy, to remind them of not only where we've been, but where we need to go as a state, and as we plan our energy future to help our companies, particularly our manufacturers, be as competitive as possible going forward.
Hey, I only have about 30 seconds, Kevin, but where does Indiana stand when it comes to energy cost for businesses? I know we used to be certainly a state with very affordable energy.
Yeah, 10 years ago, or at the turn of the century even, we were in the top 10 as far as lowest electricity costs, which is the main source. We now rank about 31st. Our costs have been going up faster than other states, but we've done more to meet environmental regulations, to retire older plants that were at the end of their useful life. And over the next 10 years, the study calls for and expects that other states' costs will go up faster than Indiana's, and ours will sort of level out as the other states catch up to meeting those requirements and retiring those older plants.
All right, comprehensive energy study sponsored by the Indiana Chamber of Commerce. You can see the full report and get details on the report at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. Kevin Brenniger, the CEO of the Indiana Chamber, is always great to see you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Gary. Great to visit with you and your viewers.
All right.
Remember, you can catch Inside Indiana Business Television on stations throughout the state every weekend. Head to InsideIndianaBusiness.com to check listings. In just a few weeks, Hoosiers will be able to go to Indiana Kroger stores to see if they've been previously infected with a virus that causes COVID-19. That's because Kroger Health is launching rapid antibody testing at all of its clinics at the end of the month. Regional Clinical Director Tammy Sarmiento spoke with Kylie Valletta in the Business of Health.
Well, as we mentioned, Kroger's the first U.S. retailer to have these rapid antibody tests. Why did Kroger want to make these inexpensive tests so widely available?
Absolutely. So throughout the pandemic, Kroger and Kroger Health has remained committed to helping our communities live healthier lives and to help simplify healthcare by bringing at-home COVID testing, as well as in-clinic testing for those individuals. And now we've added the rapid antibody testing to that scope of service in all of our little clinics inside select Krogers. And we'll be rolling that out to all of our Kroger and Kroger family of pharmacies by the end of November.
And this test really is for anyone, even if they're just curious if they've had COVID-19. But it's also important to mention it's not 100% accurate. So what are some of the disclaimers, so to speak, that we need to know with this test?
Sure, absolutely. So this test is set up for, so back when this pandemic started, as you recall, many of us had an illness that no one could really explain. The flu test was negative, but we were pretty sick at times. And so for those individuals who think, man, I am almost positive I've had COVID, this is the test for them. So this test would, a positive result would indicate that the patient or the individual has had COVID in the past and their body has formed some sort of immune antibody in response to that. If the test is negative, on the other hand, that would indicate they have not been infected prior with COVID, and or that they may be in that life cycle of the virus where it's still in the acute stage and the body hasn't developed antibodies to COVID at that point. So it takes the body about 1 to 3 weeks to build antibodies. And so the timing of that test, so someone who is asymptomatic and they're getting the test, but could possibly still be infected currently with the virus, that's where that disclaimer comes in there. The test that we're using that is brought to us by AssureTech, research has shown that it's 98% accurate and just as good, if not better and reliable than that you would have sent out to a lab.
Okay, and I know scientists, of course, are saying we still don't know if you have 100% immunity once you have had COVID-19.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it is a quick and simple test. We've been showing some video of it, just the finger prick. It almost looks like a blood sugar test, like it's just loaded into a cartridge. Can you tell us the process?
Absolutely. So the individual will come into the clinic and our licensed healthcare professionals will clean the fingertip using a lancet, much like that used for a blood sugar check. Prick the finger, a very small amount of blood is then put into a cassette, and it takes about 15 minutes to run that test. So from start to finish, 15 to 20 minutes, and an individual could know if they've had antibodies or had COVID-19 in the past.
Okay, and we do want to make sure folks know once this test is available, you will have to make an appointment to be tested. Available at the end of November. What are you expecting response to be like?
So we have had right now in our little clinics throughout Indiana and across the country, we've had a significant interest and demand in individuals in the community seeking the rapid antibody testing. We anticipate that is going to increase in demand and interest as we roll that out to all of our Kroger and family of pharmacies throughout central Indiana.
Okay, in just a few seconds left, Tammy, but I know you're also excited about rapid COVID testing coming soon.
Yes.
Can you give us the quick snippet on that?
Absolutely. So Kroger Health, again, will be rolling out a rapid antigen test that will be done point of care. So what that means is you will, it's similar to the PCR test that's offered now across the country, but this will be a rapid test. You will know your results within 15 to 20 minutes. Again, it is offered will be offered by the end of November in all of our little clinics across the state and across the nation, and all of our pharmacies. We're anticipating the rollout after the first of the year.
Okay, Tammy, sounds like you've been busy. Thanks for being on the show today and telling us more about it. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Huntington University in Northeast Indiana may be small, but it's looking to play a big role in the future of agriculture and animal science in the state. The school just celebrated the opening of the Dan Strauss Animal Science Education Center. Huntington University President Sherilyn Emberton talked about the university's rising profile in ag education in our Eye on Education segment.
Well, this was a big week at Huntington. Governor Holcomb was there for the ribbon cutting of the Don Strauss Animal Science Education Center. Talk about the significance of that center.
Well, it was an amazing opportunity to have he and the director of the Indiana Development of Economic Development was there. We had Bruce Kettler, director of Ag for our state, and then all of our friends and people who believed in that opportunity. So it was a great day. And as you and I were talking earlier, the sun was shining, the birds were singing, you can fill in the rest.
Yeah, and this is part of a strategy that really began to unfold a little over 5 years ago. We're very intentional about wanting to get into the agricultural education field and really create some career pathways for students.
Absolutely. You know, when you and I met last time, we were just announcing the new Ware Plant Science Facility, which is great. You know, crop production, and most people in Indiana are familiar with wheat, corn, and soybean.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to have a learning lab for our students who were interested in crop science. What we didn't have was an opportunity for our students to advance in animal science. And, you and I talked, as a college president, I'm always chasing great opportunities for our students. And even in the most recent economy study that came out, as far as ag and ag production, animal production in our economy, animal science and animal production, animal health is about $4.3 billion a year. They need a workforce, and Huntington University wants to be part of that solution.
And you are unique among faith-based universities in the entire country, focusing on agriculture, as you've mentioned before, faith, family, and farming, kind of the buzzwords.
We are, absolutely. There's about a half a dozen in the United States, the closest one being Dordt College. They've been around a long time, 1973. We are stealing everything we can from them. I don't know if Christian College is supposed to say that, but we're sharing best practices. They've been great in helping us, but we knew that would be a niche for us. We already draw a lot of students who are interested in developing their faith along with their academic vocational training or avocation. But we knew that with ag, it would certainly be a sweet spot.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the interest on the part of students and as they've looked at agriculture as an educational path at Huntington. What's been the demand?
Initially we looked at our students, we looked at where they were coming from, and repeatedly we knew we would have to deal with, as we said earlier, the crop science portion, but the animal science just continued to be of paramount importance. We have an opportunity for them to raise cattle. We have a cattle operation now that we're allowed for students to do, but we didn't have that special space for them to come to do research, to do observation, to do just basic practice, and then go in a classroom and analyze that. So this brand new facility, and you mentioned 10,000 square feet, 6,000 of that is flexible animal space. We won't really produce animals there, but we will have an opportunity to engage and study animals there.
And not really, Huntington is not really competitive with the big land grant institutions like Purdue and Ohio State, but very collaborative, right? You're looking at partnerships.
We are. We're great friends, to be honest with you. And in Purdue, Ohio State, both of their deans of agriculture were very integral in having real conversations with us as we've gotten started. We continue to partner with them. We serve with them on all of the boards across the state that push agriculture and the ag biosciences forward, as well as our students now are traveling together, doing projects together, and just recently met with Purdue's leadership, and we're looking at more expansion opportunities for us to work together. Yeah,
very quickly, we only have 15 seconds, but with AgriNovus and all the effort behind the biosciences, I know that's something you want to are a part of as well, and really connecting and trying to add to that momentum in that space.
We do. We know that's the future. Innovation, the ag sciences, the ag biosciences innovation. We want to be a part of that story. And we're doing a great job in our state. We continue to do a great job, but they need a talent pool. And schools like ours, Purdue, other schools in our area want to be part of that.
Very good. Exciting news at Huntington University, a new Animal Science Education Center, part of a growing ag education curriculum there. Dr. Sherilyn Emberton, as always, the president at Huntington, thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Gary.
Students at Crispus Attucks High School in Indianapolis have a path to a career in healthcare, thanks to a partnership between Indianapolis Public Schools and Indiana University Health. Once completed, the fellowship program provides students with a job offer from IU Health and tuition assistance to complete a related degree. IPS Post-Secondary Readiness Officer Jennifer O'Shea and IU Health Director of Strategic Initiatives Jamal Smith joined us to talk about how the program works.
We want to talk about, obviously, the nuts and bolts of the program, but Jamal, first to you. IU Health, largest healthcare system in the state, like other systems facing real challenges in attracting and keeping talent. There are just so many openings in the healthcare profession. Talk about that and what led you to this partnership with IPS.
Well, absolutely. And again, thanks for having us on. We're excited about the project. And to answer the question, as I mentioned before, I don't think that IU Health is unique to the issues of recruitment and retention. We just so happen to be the largest employer having to deal with that proverbial issue. But it's no secret especially right now, and it's been exacerbated by the whole COVID-19 and the pandemic piece, that our frontline healthcare workers are of the utmost need, and being able to retain a lot of our entry level workers is extremely important, not just to the healthcare network, but to the pipeline of the people that are looking to help and provide those services to the people in the community. So we've got a number of different things that we need to do to address the issues of retention. But in our view, doubling down on the investment in the educational space in which we're looking to create that pipeline in partnership with IPS is a great way to start.
Yeah. Jennifer, let's talk about this program, because it's right in IU Health's backyard, essentially, Crispus Attucks High School. And this really is an extension or adds on to existing programs that IPS has, these pathways to get into the healthcare sector.
Yeah, that's correct. So currently, Crispus Attucks High School has a nursing pathway in which students earn their CNA Certified Nursing Assistant certification. And this really builds upon that. So in addition to that certification, they are now able to pursue either a medical assistant certification or a patient care assistant certification. And that really opens many more doors. IU Health, when we sat down with them, we said, what are your needs? What are your highest area of needs that we can prepare our high school students for, building on the current nursing pathway? So really, we're now preparing students for both a CNA and more of a healthcare specialist type position.
Yeah, so this gets to students early in the high school process. And ultimately, if they compete and finish this program, there's tuition assistance and other services that really wrap around to give these students a definite career path.
No, absolutely. So that's one of the exciting pieces of this thing, right? So as we backed into the development of it, we have partnered to build the curriculum that has all the rigor that you mentioned. And Jennifer hit the nail on the head, right? So it's got all the healthcare needs through the lens of us as an employer. And we're saying, here are all the X's and O's, if you will, that the young people will need as they come in the door. But we don't want to stop there, right? We want to make sure that we provide those supplemental supports that help with, character development and just life skill development, so that the kids are not just, academically ready to enter, but, culturally ready and industry ready as they walk through the doors.
Yeah, really.
And so we want to then stand behind that piece, right, and guarantee that employment. We say any child or any young person who's come through the fellowship, we as the employer want to stand behind that investment and say, we want to guarantee an offer of employment with us here at IU Health.
Yeah, getting engaged early in the process. Yeah, Jennifer, we've only got about 45 seconds, but I think it's interesting, this pathway. You've got others at IPS there, right? IT, all kinds of areas. You want to kind of replicate this and really give students, again, that direct path into some potentially great careers.
Yeah, absolutely. We would love to design all of our career pathways to look like this one. We think that this is a really great model in terms of the employer coming to the table to really help identify those needs, help us sort through what is the right curriculum, certifications, and then really saying, if students complete this, they are hireable. We will hire them. And not only that, but we'll provide a really meaningful career through, tuition support and helping them continue to grow within our company and within the industry.
Yeah, it is an innovative partnership between Indianapolis Public Schools and IU Health. It will be interesting to watch this develop. Jennifer O'Shea from IPS, Jamal Smith from IU Health. Thank you both. We look forward to following the partnership.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it.
All right.
And finally this week, despite headwinds from the pandemic, the $362 million renovation of Bankers Life Fieldhouse in downtown Indianapolis remains on track. Improvements to the 21-year-old facility will include a new scoreboard, refurbished club seating, and more. Pacer Sports and Entertainment Executive Vice President Mel Raines detailed the effort with Bill Benner on Inside Indiana Sports.
It was a bad news, good news thing. We talked about the field house of the future. The future now is almost now. What can people, when we finally get back to seeing fans in the Bankers Life, what can people expect to see on their initial entry?
We certainly hope to have people in soon to get to see it. We're excited to show them. There's a lot that we did. The phasing of the project, the 3 phases, were really to start phase 1 with the bottom of the building and move up through 22 and move out also as we renovate. So if you're walking past the field house, our construction fencing will be coming down soon, but you won't notice any changes on the exterior. But what we have been able to do is several things I think fans will be excited about when they come back. So the seats on the lower level have been changed and replaced. They were the original seats from 1999. They've seen a lot of good events and good games over the years, and they were ready to take a rest. So we have some new seats. They are gray instead of green, so folks will notice that change when they come in, and each year we'll be changing them out as we move up the building. We also have the new scoreboard. It is got 2 LED rings, one on the top and the bottom. The main screens are also larger. They're about 50 feet by 20 feet on the sidelines. And then we have a new underbelly screen. So if you're sitting in the lower level, you won't have to crane your neck up to be able to see statistics and other news on the center hung scoreboard. And it's really impactful. It's almost done. And I was in there looking at it this weekend with Rick Fuson, and it's a great improvement. One of the other things I think fans will notice is the practice court, which had been on the event level, and you can see it from the entry pavilion and the Delaware Street Plaza, has been moved up a level. It's the same ceiling. You don't notice a change from the outside, and that gave us some more operational space on the event level that we needed, and gives people access to the practice court directly from Delaware Street. So we're excited. We have a brand new floor going in, and just a refresh of the court. It looks fantastic.
Mel, is it a positive thing? Again, we want fans in the building as quickly as possible and in a safe manner. But the fact that we have these upcoming college basketball games, can that be kind of a dry run for the reopening of the building?
Sure. Yeah, we've been working with the Marion County Health Department and the state for many months on our reopening protocols. These games will not have fans in them, but it certainly is a good opportunity for us to, we haven't had an event since the men's Big Ten tournament stopped playing in March. And so we want to be sure that we're up and running by the time we have Pacer season going. And these are exciting games for us to host. And it's the number 1 and 2 teams in the country. I think the teams we have coming in, the lowest rated team is number 12 in the preseason polls. And so they're great games with some good partners of ours. And we're looking forward to turning on the lights and getting the new scoreboard fired up and showing everybody how the building looks. Mel, you mentioned the Pacer season tentatively scheduled, certainly to be scheduled NBA-wise on December 22. We don't know the Pacers' schedule yet, but there might also be a preseason game, and I know everybody, again, will be anxious to see the Pacers back in their home building. Yes, and we are too. We're excited to get the team back in town into training camp shortly after Thanksgiving. We expect a preseason game somewhere, I believe, between December 11 and 18. We will have the Crossroads Classic, as we have every year for many years, on December 19th. That will also be without fans this year, although there may be some limited family in that game, but we will not be selling tickets to that. And then the season will tip off sometime on or after December 22nd, and we are excited about the team and just excited to get back to what we do best, which is basketball. Mel, we got about less than a minute left, so briefly, the ongoing next phases of the construction, you're working up and out, right? Correct. So summer of 21, we'll be tackling the entry pavilion, starting the work in the plaza to the north of the building, and the main concourse and club levels. And then in the summer of 22, we'll be tackling the balcony. And in between, we will have some pardon our dust phases, as we like to call them, on the concourses. They won't affect our ability to host events and fans in the way we always have, but things will look a little bit different when we're working our way around the concourses. Well, Mel, we certainly appreciate you coming on the show. On behalf of all of us at Inside Indiana Business, sincerest condolences on the recent passing of your father, and we wish you the best going forward, and we can't wait to get back to the Fieldhouse. Mel, thanks for being with us. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
That wraps up this week's Inside Indiana Business television podcast. Remember, you can find all of this week's TV segments, as well as the top business news from throughout the state, at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. While you're there, you can also subscribe to our platform of free e-newsletters. This is Andy Ober for Inside Indiana Business.